if you have any questions, let us know, and Kevin will try to answer. And if he can't answer, the rest of us will really try to answer, but we probably don't know it either. Oh, Jim Masak. Hi, Jim. Glad you joined us. He is the president of the Milwaukee Double Click mug.
Thank you, Bob. Glad to be here, and thanks for the invitation.
You're quite welcome at any time. Any questions?
Oh, it's going to be a quiet night.
Well, I guess we've solved everything. Good night, everybody.
Denny, you had a question? Bill?
No questions this week.
I have a question. I was updating my wife's software, and thing came up, said no internet connection. But yet she was connected to the internet. I could go to, other places, and it would work just fine. And then I click on OK, and it would be fine. It would come back again. After the update, I haven't had a problem.
Anytime I've ever seen stuff like that, I just tell people restart your computer. And
Yeah,
that
I've done
usually,
that.
and did it fix the problem?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's just very odd.
Yeah, I have a client that's a doctor in town, and he sent me a text one day. He says, "Next time one of my patients call me and ask me on the phone what to do, I'm just going to tell them to restart their Mac because it fixes 90% of his problems."
Yeah. I do have a question. One of my friends is buying the new 16-inch
MacBook
M5
Pro.
Pro. Yeah. And he's wondering what kind of peripherals to get with that.
What I would recommend first inside of the machine, I would recommend maxing out the processor and go into 64 gigs of RAM. As far as peripherals, depending on what his setup is going to be, if he needs a dock, if he's going to have external displays, and all that.
And
He's not going to have external
drive is going to be probably very important for backups.
What size drive should he have internally?
At least 1 terabyte.
For everybody has their own thing. Like I have a friend of mine who feels anything underneath 4 is useless. For me, 2 seems to be the sweet spot, but I could get away with 1 if I needed to. How long has he been on a Mac?
A number of years. He's had the iMac and that kind of thing, and his laptop is died, so now he's buying a new laptop. And he bought one with 48 RAM, not 64. Was that 40, a mistake?
Not necessarily a mistake right now, but as AI gets more and more intense and they move more and more into on-machine language models, a 64 is going to be needed, I think.
Okay.
And okay. There's nothing right now. I'm just talking about, say, 2 or 3 years down the road from now, because the M5s are so nice, or the M series, that chances are he's going to go 5, 6, 7 years before needing a machine. And if that's the case, the RAM is going to be the weak spot.
Okay.
And it could also be, that's why I like 2 terabytes of storage, because it lets me grow.
Yeah, he does a lot of pictures and things like this, and he has his iMac, so that that comes in. He takes this on the road with him, and he comes back home and just puts it all over there.
Right. So that's So 2 terabytes, 64 would, and I would get the M5 Max, the higher one. I think just a couple of $100 more. And what you're doing is you're buying future proofing.
Okay, I'll tell him. Yeah, I think it's more than a couple $100 for the Max.
Yeah, it is, but with prices going up right now, Apple said they're trying to eat some of the cost of the upgrades. But when the
Ah,
M6 comes out, what you see is a $200 upgrade right now is going to probably be $1,000 upgrade.
yeah,
So, because they've had contracts already written. I don't know if you've seen the price of solid state drives and
no.
stuff like that. I have a little flash drive I keep in my on my keychain. I paid $199 for it about 2 years ago. They're now going for 750 for the same
Wow.
exact drive.
That's quite a jump.
Whew. I'll have to tell him because maybe he could cancel his order and change his processor and RAM.
Yeah, and if he has any questions, Bill, you could always text me or have him text me, and I can explain to him why I
Yeah.
feel that way.
He's rather, shall we say, cheap, and he doesn't like to spend extra money, and I understand that.
Well,
But
just
he's
tell him,
also
just let him know that in 2 years, is it cheaper to spend $1,000 more this year or spend another $5,000 in 2 years?
true.
And that seems to negate people that are super, super cheap. Now, there are people
Yeah,
who just can't afford to go up there,
right.
you know. Another question is, does he need a Pro or can he use a MacBook Air?
He likes the Pro, but
Okay.
I don't know. I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him. I used to work with this guy, and he's cheap, but yet he's not. He's got the Adobe and everything else that he uses with his photos, and so whatever. Thank you.
Hi, Jim.
Could I just comment on this? I think before we start spending all this guy's money, who's seemingly budget minded anyway, we have to know exactly how he's going to be using this computer. He's into photos, but we're not talking about movie editing. We're not talking about programming. And to go with a MacBook Pro with 64 gigs of memory, to me sounds like overkill for this guy.
Well, that's why I asked if he looked at the Air because I think an Air with similar specs would save a couple of $1,000s and give him that longevity.
Yeah. I mean, if you price out the machine that you're quoting that you initially started with, he's looking at what, $8,000 maybe?
About
Um,
56, 5,700.
yeah, that's a heck of a lot of money.
I agree.
And Apple recently made the baseline RAM for their computers at 16 gigabytes, and Apple seems to think that's going to be enough for Apple Intelligence, at least for the near future. And to argue that he needs 64, yeah, even 2, 3, 4 years down the line, again, I just think that's kind of overkill. And especially if he's just photo editing, he probably doesn't need to spend that much money. Just my opinion.
Oh, the difference in costs in going 48 to 64 is only like $200. That's not like a major
Okay.
increase.
Okay.
So that's why I usually recommend that. And another thing is I've had friends that have had 48 gigs of RAM and do things like Devon Think and maybe have a small photo editor up and they're beach balling. So again, it really depends on what you want. Lightroom, like a lot of photographers use Lightroom and they use Lightroom because they think Lightroom is a very light photo editor. It's not extensive. But Lightroom requires a lot of work on the catalog, and that eats a lot of RAM. So, which slows down your Mac again. So it depends on the apps he uses and what his goals are.
An interesting comparison
Thank you.
here is Terry White at Adobe is getting a new work machine, and they're getting him a Pro, M5 Pro with 48 gigs of RAM and 2 TB. And you figure that, that's as much as they can give him because they're giving it to a lot of people. But that would be sort of almost the baseline configuration if you're doing a lot of serious photography stuff. And like Kevin says, go up from there. I might take the 64. Does the Pro actually come in a 64?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chris, again, the question I ask is, and I've helped several friends buy their machines. Do you need the Pro versus an Air? And I mean, it'll be a little bit
Yeah.
faster, granted, but not significantly. The one thing that the Pro gives you that the Air does not is one more Thunderbolt port. And I have one friend that insisted just for that port, he's going to the Pro.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think if anybody has questions about this, they should consult somebody, whether it's Kevin or Roger or myself, and talk it over and see what they really need and make a suggestion. One of us can make a suggestion. Whether the customer follows it or not is up to the customer.
Yep.
Roger always says that he will help someone buy something and that he has that service for free.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have one, but I'm not sure I remember it right now. If I didn't write it down, if I remember it, I'll bring it up. We
I
still
have
have
one.
a good half an
Oh,
hour or so.
yeah.
I,
How about the Pogue book?
What about the Pogue book? I was going to talk about that at the main meeting, but I can talk about it here too.
Count me in.
Okay. Would you send me an email stating that just so I have it in writing and don't forget it?
I already got the EPUB for it. So, anyway, Natalie, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I'm hoping to switch over to from the Apple built-in password saver to I what is it?
One password
One
or
pass. One pass.
okay.
And every time I try and use it, the Apple system comes up in the window and I can't get to one pass. So what
Okay.
am I doing wrong?
Okay. On which device are we talking about to start with?
Okay, I have all three that I want to switch over, but let's start with the MacBook Pro.
Okay. On the MacBook Pro, you're talking about Safari, correct?
Yes.
Okay. First thing that you want to do is open up your settings on Safari.
Okay.
And I'm going to walk you through this.
Okay.
On top where it says autofill in your settings, it says general tabs autofill.
Autofill, got it.
Uncheck everything.
Oh, okay.
Then install the 1Password for Safari extension and turn that on.
Okay, it's already in there.
You're done.
I'm done. Wow, that was
You're
a
done.
lot simpler.
On
Thank you very much.
on your iOS devices,
Uh-huh.
you go into the settings for, I don't know if it's Safari or just passwords. Let me see here. Okay. If you do a search for passwords, yeah, it's autofill and passwords. It's under general.
Uh-huh.
And then if you could see my screen here, I don't know if you could see it. I have
Yes,
the
I
top
can.
one is turned off, and then
Okay.
1Password is turned on.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
And then 1Password will be able to control it. One of the things to note, though, on your iPad, You'll have an
Yes.
extension up on the top bar
Okay.
or 1Password. I recommend disabling that. And this way, when it comes up for asking for a password, you bring up your keyboard, and on the top of the keyboard, you'll see a little logo that says password. You
Okay.
tap that, and that opens up 1Password and autofills.
Okay. So on the iPad, I'm going to turn,
Off the 1Password extension. Do you know how to do that?
no.
Okay. When you open up Safari, if you look to the right of the address field,
Okay.
you'll see a little like a puzzle piece.
Uh-huh. Yes.
You tap that, and then it's hold on, let me pull out my iPad. I did this for the wife the other day because she keeps on hitting that and doesn't know how to get into it. Right.
Oh, well, she has something in common with me.
Let me get the Safari. Okay, you tap the puzzle piece and you click on Manage Extensions
Okay.
and turn 1Password off. So again, if you could see this, it'll
I'm
look like that.
okay. And you're
Then,
turning it off, even though you want to use it.
right. And then when you go to a website that requires a sign in, let me think of one. Um, what's our, well, I'll just use our boards. BBS's T-Mug Forum. See how it's like that? When you go in, look what pops up. Oops, or it didn't pop up. When I tap in here, if you see carefully right above the keyboard,
Uh-huh.
it'll ask me to fill in the information from 1Password.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's automatic and it just works.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. You
You're
saved
more
me
than welcome.
hours.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of weird problems with my Mac in the last few months that I've been diagnosing. One thing that just came up right now again is the Finder. If I right click on Finder in the toolbar, I get what does it say? It says application not responding, which just doesn't sound right to me. What are the reasons for that? And does that indicate that there's a problem?
It sounds like you may have a something that's starting up in your startups that's not compatible with the OS that you're in. May need an update. Like an example would be, say, if you're using Bartender.
Yeah, I don't
You,
use that, but I use like Backblaze. I use
back,
iCloud.
Backblaze shouldn't cause it. You just want to go through in your login items, turn them off, and then turn them all on one at a time.
I was having problems with Time Machine. If you remember in the forum, I'm a little scared of Time Machine now, so I'm using Carbon Copy Cloner right now, which works fine. But I reinstalled my operating system from scratch. I have an M1, a MacBook Pro M1, which I'm trying to hold on to because it still seems like a pretty substantial machine. But I can tell that it definitely hesitates when it's opening up like a Capture One catalog or things like that. It struggles a little bit, but still seems like a pretty strong machine. Maybe I'm just fooling myself. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things from experience that I've noticed is that doesn't matter how fast the machine is, after you're using it for 6 months, it just seems slower than it was the day you got it. And you could
Okay.
benchmark it and it's not. So that's one thing, but you want to make sure that things that you're opening up in the background, and it's a section on top in your login items. It'll list all the apps that are starting up. Um,
Okay.
go through those first. Do you have a dock connected to it?
No,
Okay.
I do have an SSD that I keep plugged in. I mean, I've cleaned out the entire, reloaded the operating system, like formatted the disk, reloaded it from scratch, put only what I need on. I
I kill a lot of applications I don't need routinely. I reboot it every once in a while. And this Finder problem doesn't happen all the time. It's sort of intermittent. Like if I relaunch it, it'll relaunch successfully. Everything will be great. But it's just concerning me. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like that's something that should just be running.
Yeah, it should be, but there again, it could be something like trying to think of some of the problems I've had. I have a friend that had a bunch of startup items, and he couldn't understand why Safari kept on hanging on him.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it was because the key combinations that he set up for one program were the key combinations he used in another program.
yeah.
And they were just fighting each other, causing the system to hang for no reason. So, he'd launch Safari, and instead of coming right up, it would take a minute or two. Sometimes he'd have to quit and restart it. We changed the keyboard combination for this other app,
Mhm.
and boom, that just fixed his problems.
I'm using right now like every native app that I can, and everything's just really I just got everything like thinned out. Like I'm just trying to keep it really simple. What you said is still true. It's just one little thing could trip me up, I'm sure. But I'm not
Yeah,
doing anything crazy on here though. I'm really trying to keep it simple because the machine is 6 years old. I'm
but
just trying to
it's
make it
still a
easy.
good. How much RAM do you have in there?
16.
So you're good for you. And OS 26.
Yeah, I have it all the way yeah, the latest
So you're
26.
good to run like say two or three apps in the background without any problems.
Yeah, you'd think. Yeah.
Again, it's like you said, you're using Capture One.
Yeah.
The catalog in there is, or anything that uses a catalog is going to be RAM intensive.
So if I were to, so this is an M1, it's a MacBook M1 Pro. I kind of like the idea of having the Pro, but I heard that the Air is very good now too. And I'm using it for a desktop. I almost never take it off my desk. So I use it for travel or going to another house or something like that. But normally it's
Right.
99% of the time it's on my desktop. What would be an upgrade path?
And the M5 Air, if you want something new.
You think I
And
should?
again, with that 48 or 64 gigs RAM, depending on, what your cost is, and you look at what you have now on your drive, multiply it by 1.5, and then if that fits on a 1 terabyte, get a 1 terabyte. If it's over a 1 terabyte, get a 2 terabyte.
Yeah, I'd really like a 2 terabyte if I could get it. It would make my photo management a lot easier.
And also, have you heard of ExpertCom?
No.
They're up in Utah, and I believe they're discounting the Airs right now.
Okay. ExpertCom.
Yeah, expercom.com. They were actually Apple's first online retailer back in the late 80s when the internet was first starting.
Okay. So an M5 Air base with like a 64 gigs, maybe 48 at the least, and 2 terabytes SSD.
Let me see what it's going to cost you. Hold on.
Sounds like it'll be a bit.
Unless you have any, is anybody in your family military?
My son is.
Well, you get your son to use on ID.me. I'm sure he has an account there.
Mhm.
He can log in and you get 10% off at Apple, and that'll be
Okay.
your best bet. And what you do is on the very, very bottom of the page, you select military members and family,
Okay.
and that'll save you some money.
All right. The M5 Air for as a desktop machine, pretty much.
Yeah, I have a M3 Max Pro that I use as a desktop. One other piece of software that you may want to look into is an app called AlDente Pro. What that does is it manages your battery, because if you're using it as a desktop, you're plugged in all the time. You want
Yeah.
your battery to stay fresh and not die.
Mhm.
So what this does, it'll move it down like once a month, down 5%, and then move it back up. And you set it to like a max of 80%. so it keeps a little bit moving. So, and I just got my logic board replaced, but before this, in a year and a half, I've only had 2 cycles on my battery, and it was
Hmm.
still at 103% capacity because it doesn't wear the capacity down where leaving it plugged in all the time will.
What do you think of going to a Mac Mini or a Mac Studio to maybe, well, because I'm using a studio monitor, so I have a 27-inch, the old studio monitor, but it's really nice.
Um,
It's the 4 or 5K, I guess.
It'll work fine with a Mac Studio computer.
yeah, but a Mac Studio computer is, how should I put it? I want one when the M5 comes out, but you're also looking at 8 grand probably by the time you build it up to the way you want it to give you the advantage of the studio part.
Yeah.
The mini would probably be sufficient. I'd wait until an M5 mini comes out,
Okay. Yeah.
but
8 grand is out of that's definitely out of my
yeah.
budget. Yeah.
And another question is you're using Thunderbolt cables, correct?
Yes.
How long are your cables?
The one that goes between the Mac and the display looks like it's 1 meter. I
Okay,
mean, 3 meters.
10 feet?
Yeah, let me go to feet. 3 feet. Three
Okay.
feet.
Um, does it say Thunderbolt 3 on it?
I think so. It's got the
Okay.
little logo
Because
on it. Yeah.
one of the things that I have learned over the last month is I have two 5K Thunderbolt displays, and I was using cables that were not technically certified Thunderbolt.
Uh,
So I had to buy, that $100 cable that Apple sells or $180 cable that Apple sells.
yeah.
It's worth every penny when you're going to over 3 feet with Thunderbolt.
Okay. I don't remember
So
where I got this from, but I'll check that out.
because that could also be a cause of your Finder issues.
Hmm.
If your display is not getting the full cable, and there's actually a way to tell. You can go into the system information, go to your Thunderbolt port, and it'll tell you how many gigabits you're going to your display, and you want to make sure it says 40 and not 20.
Okay. 40. I will check. Things are complicated. We live in a fun world,
Oh,
but
yeah,
also a complicated world.
and as I've said to other people, Scott, if you have questions and don't want to wait a month for the meeting, feel free to drop me a line.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
While we wait for somebody to come up with a question, I'd like to put in a little plug for David Pogue's new book, Apple, the First 50 Years. I've had an email conversation with him today. He is offering Mac user groups such as ourselves a half price deal. So instead of 50, it's 25, and he will pay the shipping if the group buys a block of 10. And I told him that wanted that and we're looking forward to it. Although we do have a few seats left to sell on this plane. So if you would like a copy of Apple the First 50 Years, please let me know and commit to it, and I will reserve a copy for you. Plus, I'm going to go to Macstock this summer, and I'm driving, and I will take my car, and I will take the 10 books with me. And David Pogue has committed to autographing them for us. So you would end up with a autographed first edition hardcover with lots of color photos of David's new book, uh, Apple the first 50 years. If you look it up on Amazon, you'll learn about it. You'll see that the list price is $50. Currently, it's on sale for 40, but this way you could get it for 25 and have it autographed.
How do we commit?
Well, for you, Rudy, that'd be
Yeah.
more difficult because I can't drive halfway across town and
No,
meet
no,
you
no.
because
No.
you're in
Massachusetts.
Boston.
Yeah.
Um,
So can
but
I send you a check?
well, if you want the book, I'll put your name down and
Please.
I have your email address and I will save you a copy
Thank you.
and then I will let you know how much it would cost me to mail it to you via book rate or whatever. I think it's now called multimedia rate
Yeah.
to you and pack it up and send it off and then let you know to send me a check or send me a Zelle or send it via Apple Pay Cash
Okay.
to me because it's
Sounds
all going to
good.
go on my credit card as a first thing. So I'm going to put you down on the list. Thank you, Rudy.
Okay. I'm interested.
And me.
I got you on the list.
Okay.
Rudy, where in Boston are you? Are you in?
I'm outside of Boston in a little town called Brookfield, 1 hour west of Boston.
Up near New Hampshire border.
No, straight west.
Oh, straight. Okay. I used
So
to
you know where
live. Yeah, I used to
Sturbridge.
live in New Hampshire and then in Marlborough, Mass, just outside
Oh,
of Boston.
yeah. Well, I'm next to Sturbridge.
I know
Yeah, my
exactly where that is. I used to love that, and the Yankee Candle Company
Yeah,
there is great.
it
my
is.
my brother lives in Worcester.
Oh, that's the nearest big city to me.
Oh,
Yep.
well, he's helping be the pastor of the local Episcopal church ever so often.
Uh-huh. There used to be a good Mac user group in Worcester, but it disappeared
Uh,
at some point. That's why I'm here. Kind of relive the old days.
There used to be a really good one out of Nashua also. I don't know if they're still around.
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyone?
I visited my cousin Tommy Friedman in Tucson last week, and he told me about it. And I say, I'm going to the next meeting. He can't be here tonight because he had some other obligations, but he encouraged me to come, and I'm happy. From what I've learned already, I'm very happy that I'm here.
Great.
Cool.
Come
Well,
back.
welcome. Anybody else have any questions? We got another half hour or so.
Well, I sent a message to the Milwaukee's DoubleClick Mac user group because I am a former member there and let them know that I'm offering them this deal on the book as well. But now we have 7. So we might be able to sell it all here in Tucson, with the exception of Rudy. And Bill, you're in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yes.
I'm going to be in Wisconsin in the third week of July, and we could meet up someplace, I hope, there, or I could again mail it to you, and I'll let you know what the postage would be.
That's fine.
We have a diverse crowd tonight. We have Boston, we have 3 Wisconsins. A little earlier, we had our member in California, and our main speaker who's also a member, is in Ohio. So we are nationwide from Boston to California.
Sounds great. And I'm not really in a hurry to get the book. because I just ordered it from Audible. So starting tomorrow morning, all my other books go to second place, and I'm going to start listening to David Polk's book.
Well,
He
that's
reads,
fine.
yeah, he
Uh,
reads it himself. So,
I would
and
like to
it's
have the Audible book as well and listen to it in the car, but to have the hardcover
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah,
edition and autographed,
absolutely, and
I think is a pretty good thing to have.
absolutely. That's why I jumped.
Okay. Any other questions for the Ask the Experts here this evening? I still can't remember the question I had.
I have a comment on the software update that I mentioned earlier. Apparently, you have to go in through, and it says from the Apple menu, go to System Settings, go to Privacy and Security, then go down to Background Security Improvements. And they'll give you a thing that software improvement available iOS or Mac OS 26 3.1A is available.
A
Yeah.
is
And it looks, Bob, it looks like this.
can't
On
see
my,
it.
So what does it do, Kevin?
um, I'm not sure. I got the thing from Apple. It says it addresses the following issues: information, and then it tells you, gives me a website. It's something to do with WebKit. Impact processing malicious crafted web content may bypass
That must
same
be.
origin policy. So it's a pretty big bug, I guess.
I've never seen something like this.
As I was saying earlier, when I first came in, it's the first time Apple has ever, at least that I remember in all the years doing this, they sent out a notice about a background security update.
But if you're on 26.4 beta, it's too late.
Right.
Yeah, I can do it on the Mac though. That's really interesting.
What is the difference between a security update and a background security update?
A security update is something like a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 update. A background security update is a smaller, it only fixes one thing, is my guess.
Thank you.
And
Maybe
again,
it's
it's just a guess.
Maybe it's for Safari developers who are doing a bunch of, developer type stuff that most of us would never do.
I'm going to see if it's available on my Mac.
Yeah, it's available on mine. Tony, do you have any thoughts on this?
If you look in the chat, I sent the link from the email that I got earlier.
My thought is don't do the update while you're in a Zoom meeting.
Right.
Yeah, really.
Right. Right.
We
Do it
can always
on.
ask an AI service about this update, see what they come back with.
Can everybody see that link? It was posted before we started recording, so it may not be visible.
No, I can't actually, but
Okay, I'll repost it.
thanks, Roger.
And Chris, if you want the email, I could forward that to you as well.
Okay, I'll take a look.
I have something that can everybody hear?
Mhm.
We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay. I've been following over the past 2 or 3 days. Apple has been very prolific with what they call cryptexes, cryptographic extensions, which are ways that they deliver small changes to the operating system. And every time I get one, I notice that my booting process is smoother, less chaotic. It comes up in a nicer state. Uh, so the way that you just that I discover to see if this is being done to your machine, I boot my machine every morning, and when it comes up, it will kind of hang up for a while and then it'll reboot. I enter the password one time, the first time, it thinks a while, and then it automatically reboots. I'm given to understand that it has installed a cryptographic extension, a Cryptdex, which is modifying Mac OS. As it's been doing this over the past week or so, the operation of Mac OS for me has become smoother, more predictable. Um, it just it's like somebody's working on it and they're doing a good job. So if you run into this where when you boot your machine, it seems to want to have you enter your password 2 or 3 times, then you've received a small update, cryptographically protected update from Apple. And this is now part of the regimen of booting Mac OS. And it's a good thing. You can curse it
You,
and say, "Oh, I need to get work right away," but wait for it to happen, to finish, and you'll get a significant improvement.
cryptexes should not be visible to you, Jerry. They're part of the operating system. If you're getting cryptex updates, like you're saying, you have a bad install of your operating system.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would restart up in the recovery and reinstall your OS right on top of what you have now.
Okay.
You also want to make sure that you do not see the cryptexes in disk utility, because all it is a disk image that's supposed to be hidden
Right.
because the operating system is encrypted. And
I was under the impression that they were using cryptexes to put in these little mini updates, but
no,
you're saying that's not true. Okay. But I've been getting a bunch of mini updates through having to boot 2, sometimes 3 times in order to get my machine up in the morning. And every time I do, I like the result because it's smoother. It's things are more in a natural order that I would expect. So I would advise, let me say it a different way. I have found that rebooting fresh every morning is a good thing.
well, I reboot maybe once a month or whenever I install software that requires it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you're rebooting to smooth things out, it sounds like you have a bad OS install.
Okay. All right. I'll take that under advisements, see if I can get it installed here. My vision is so bad that I tend to just accept everything that's offered because I can't read well enough to decide whether it's a good idea or not.
Okay.
Hmm.
I have a tip. BenQ, the display manufacturer, has got a light bar that fits on top of your display. And it is the absolutely best computer light I've ever had. I bought 2, one for my TV and one for my studio display. And it throws a little bit of light to the back of your display and a whole bunch of light down at your keyboard, but the light that goes down does not get sent into your eyes. So Amazon has these things that are around 200 bucks. They got highly good reviews on Apple Insider. If you're in the market for an upgraded lighting system for your computer installation, and you have a desktop, then
And BenQ has just released a new version, and
yeah,
that version is getting all kinds of online kudos.
yes, yeah, and also for me, that's what I'm doing right now is giving a kudo.
Uh, Jerry, if you go
Yeah,
to Amazon and find that, would you send me a link to that? It might appear in the Geek gift guide this fall.
yeah, it's not cheap, but oh God, is it
That's
one?
okay.
Every lighting problem I've ever had lighting up my desktop, this thing addresses, this light bar addresses. So yeah, I'll see if I can uh, uh, get a uh, a URL for it and post it.
Thank you, Jerry. I wanted to tell Scott, when he's wrestling with the decision of what to buy,
Yes.
I want to tell you what I do, Scott. I have a Mac Studio M1 with 2 terabytes and 32 gigs, and it's still fine with me. I don't need anything beyond that, even for my photo work and all that stuff. And then I have an M1 MacBook Air, again with 2 terabytes. So I have everything every place. Um, and I don't need a new MacBook because I really only use it when I'm traveling. Do I want a new MacBook? Yeah, I want a new MacBook. A new MacBook Air with 2 terabytes and probably 16 for to use when I'm traveling. And I might start looking on the refurb store for an M4 and comparing the price to an M5. And that happens to be the topic of conversation tomorrow night on the Old Mac Gang podcast, how to navigate the Apple refurb store. So that may not be the right solution for you, but I think it's a good solution for me to have a dedicated desktop machine and a laptop that I use for travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Here ends the homily.
No, that makes sense. I mean, and Apple makes so many products. I've been trying to dig in and say, okay, I'm not going to buy 15 levels of products. They have these different tiers of not just tiers of quality, but like they have an iPad, they have a small iPad, then they have a small laptop, and then a larger laptop. And I mean, after a while, you could fill your whole house with the stuff. So I'm just trying to stick with a really good iPhone and a good laptop, and I have the
Okay.
studio monitor, which is really nice.
I think some of
so
us,
that works for you. I have a suggestion that I've run into here. The MacBook Neo, the
Mhm.
one that's powered by an iPhone inside. Uh,
Right.
that is it's being pushed as an ideal machine for kids. But I'm in a senior living home, and what I discover is that a pot full of people here are trying to get along with old machines that are basically obsolete and that they can't even do their banking on
Yeah.
anymore because the banks say you need to update your browser and they can't do that for 600 or 700 bucks depending. Um, the ideal solution for these people, which I've been shepherding, pushing, uh, talking up over here, is MacBook Neo. It gets you absolutely right up to the current state, and it'll probably be the last computer these people will ever have to buy.
A big
Yeah, I
monitor
mean,
would help.
Pardon?
A big monitor would help.
Yeah.
it'll become obsolete like everything else, though. I mean, right now, it's a really good way to spend $600, I guess, if you wanted to,
Right.
I
get
think
up to speed.
I think Jerry's point is the users in his community
Yeah,
may become obsolete before the MacBook Neo does.
right.
Yeah, well, everybody has their own needs for things. It's like I have two laptops that I use. I have one I use as a desktop and only as a desktop. And then I have a 13-inch that I take with me when I go see clients. And that because of the way of the things I do, I need an Intel based processor.
Mm.
So I have a 13-inch, the last 13-inch with Intel in it, and it works flawlessly for its needs.
Okay, well, that brings us to our time for a break between our Ask Me Anything and our general meeting, which will start promptly at 7 o'clock. So get a drink of water or whatever, and we'll see you at 7.
Okay.
So I just did, Chris, I just did those updates on my iPhone and iPad. So what they're going to do, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this isn't something that's already in the next updates that they're coming out with.
Well, if you got it and you have 24, so I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
well,
you said you have 6.4.
I have 26.4 on the iPhone. Beta 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I've sort of lost count.
I stopped running. Remember I told you I was having crash problems with my computer?